The European Commission and Tunisia signed a deal for a strategic and comprehensive partnership. Now, it includes cooperation in the spheres of economic development and combating irregular migration. Leaders of Italy and the Netherlands joined EU officials for that signing ceremony in Tunis. And the timing of the deal comes as authorities in Tunisia are under fire for their treatment of migrants. We can now bring in our European Affairs editor, Armen Georgian. Armen, great to see you as always. Talk us through some of the main components of this agreement.
Well, border management is obviously an important component, Delano. 100 million euros pledged by the EU to help with that. But this is not only about border management. If you look at education, so student exchanges, modernising Tunisian schools as well, that package goes up to 75 million euros. So that's a sort of similar level of funding to the border issue. And crucially, back in June, EU leaders floated a figure of 1 billion euros to help Tunisia's economy. I think you have to put that in the context of Europe being very aware of Tunisia as the only North African country where the Arab Spring came to a somewhat successful conclusion. And so it's in the EU's interests to try and invest more in that relative stability, shall we say, in Tunisia, at least when you compare it to Libya. So yes, border issues, migration is a part of this deal, but there's also, as I said, education, there's things like high-speed broadband, digital infrastructure, renewable energy projects. So it isn't only about migration.
So it's not just about migration, but let's talk about migration nevertheless. Does what this deal does it signify a hardening of the EU stance when it comes to migration?
Well, it's interesting if you look at who was in Tunis for this deal. You've got Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president. She's under a pressure to deliver the asylum and migration pact, which she first announced in September of 2019. You've got Georgia Meloni, or you did, the Italian Prime Minister. She's under pressure as well because, remember, she pledged to reduce migration in her election campaign. But if you look at the actual figures of boats coming, according to the Italian Interior Ministry, they've increased in the first 7 months of this year on the same period last year. So she's under pressure. And then Mark Rutte, whose government in the Netherlands just collapsed because of these divisions over migration, with his party being one of those that wanted a harder line. And you mentioned Kais Saied as well, the Tunisian president. He's been under pressure from the NGOs because of these reported pushbacks of sub-Saharan migrants to the Algerian border, which has included apparently some deaths as well of migrants. So if there is a hardening, Delano, then arguably it's not only on the EU side of this equation.
Armen, thank you very much for that, Armen Georgian there. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching.